token that you're getting exposure to. So this one happens to have 8 tokens. And as mentioned, it's tracking the CF Large Cap Diversified Weight Index, which rebalances quarterly.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wagmi TV. We are talking about a brand new DTF coming from Reserve Currency. It's been in the works for a long time. We have a previous episode that's about it. And it's actually on a centralized exchange. It's on Kraken right out of the box. So it's really easy for people to get involved into it. So we're going to talk all about what it encapsulates, what it's all about, and get you guys that info. Obviously, entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice. So definitely do your own research. But with that, we'll kick it over to Zoe to give us a little bit of a background on what's going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's hop right into it. We'll go straight to the announcement here. So if you're familiar with our other episodes on Reserve Protocol, you're familiar with kind of the DTF product, the ability to basically get diversified crypto exposure in a single token. And today there was a big announcement where actually powered by Reserve, CF Benchmarks, the indexing company of Kraken, actually created an index DTF that tracks their large cap index. It's like Garcia said, it's listed on Kraken today, so you can go and trade it. And this is really kind of a first of its kind product with centralized exchange distribution. So super exciting news here. I'll kind of get into the product itself. So we'll hop over here to the Reserve page, and you guys are familiar with this. We've gone through this in some of our other episodes, but this is kind of the DeFi interface to learn about these different products. And so you can see kind of what the token is, the price action behind the token, as well as every token that you're getting exposure to. So this one happens to have 8 tokens, and as mentioned, it's tracking the CF Large Cap Diversified Weight Index, which rebalances quarterly. And then this DTF rebalances as well to basically match those weights. If you're curious, you can hit this website button and it'll take you to the actual page for the professionally published index. So you can see exactly kind of what the weights are. You can go through and you can check out the methodology and all of that. So really professional, really high grade stuff right here. And really exciting that it's actually for the first time been turned into an investable product here on Reserve Protocol, which is really cool. It's a project we've been covering for a while. And then lastly, the other very exciting thing, mostly we cover tokens and DeFi and things like that, but for the first time, a token like this is actually and so, obviously I'm not verified right now on Kraken to be able to trade this, but any user with a Kraken account globally now has access to this to trade this token. So for the first time, almost like an ETF style product, a DTF is available on a centralized exchange for the masses. So definitely a huge announcement. That's kind of everything on the product side. Curious to kind of get your thoughts regarding the announcement.
Well, so one, that's fantastic. That's something that I feel like we've been hinting at for a while, something that a lot of us people that are, doing stuff every day in crypto, we want these ETF style coins that we can use just to be able to not have to put so much work in tracking everything. So I think that's really cool. And then also, I think within the announcement, you said that it was launched on Aerodrome Finance as well, which I feel like is pretty big for the viewers of this channel, right?
Yeah, definitely. Let me bring that up here. So there's going to be some pretty interesting yield opportunities here, I think. If we go to this announcement from Aerodrome, you can see there's 3 pools launching for LCAP, which is the token. So basically, if you're holding this token, you'll be able to liquidity provide in 3 different pools, paired against wrapped ETH, paired against USDC, and paired against actually USOL. And so these, we're expecting, Aero emissions to be coming to these shortly. And so for the Aerodrome crew, definitely something to keep an eye out if you're interested in getting that broad market exposure that the LCAP token gives you, but also obviously earning yield on top of it like a lot of our Aerodrome Finance viewers.
Yeah, and I think the other part of this that I love is I think when we covered virtuals, whether it was Vader or something, there were some other tokens that you were able to create baskets of assets, but this kind of has that professional grade feel to it that you're not getting with Vader or all this other stuff. So I think that's why this like really sticks out as a big announcement, because we're starting to get some real quality when it comes to these funds.
100%, and we're starting to see a lot of this actually. You know, we've covered a lot of the Coinbase announcements with like the Coinbase Dex integration and things like that, like where we discussed kind of like the kind of quote unquote DeFi mullet thesis, where it's like centralized front ends but decentralized back ends and infrastructure. And I think this is another example of kind of that trend, right? Like this is a DeFi based product being distributed via a more centralized venue. But the heart of it is actually built. It's a product built in DeFi, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really awesome. I think there's kind of two pieces to this that are actually really cool. One, I think, is the bullishness for Reserve as a whole, right? It kind of validates the decentralized token folio or DTF platform because they're securing an institutional grade partnership with a regulated index provider. And I think, right, that obviously drives, hopefully, TVL, drives fee revenue, all those sorts of things, which is super helpful. I would say the second thing, obviously, for the broader crypto market, is actually quite bullish because it really introduces ETF like simplicity, like a regulated, diversified index token directly onto the blockchain, which we've talked about for a while, which can significantly lower that barrier to entry for both institutional and retail capital to start to get into there. So I think it's really a really awesome announcement and really bullish for both Reserve as well as the broader market. So super cool stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think it's I think as far as like to your point, like kind of an on ramp for people that don't want to have to buy, a certain percentage of Solana, a certain percentage of Bitcoin, a certain percentage of ETH. Like it's a nice kind of basket just to have there, as opposed to having to kind of pick and choose and kind of manage your own wallets and balance a portfolio. So I think it's going to be really interesting, especially if this comes over to Coinbase. I think it's going to get even more interesting. Obviously, Kraken's a huge centralized exchange, but in terms of like a lot of US based users, obviously Coinbase tends to be the number one. So it's going to be even more interesting, obviously, once it gets over there and into the hands of more folks. Awesome. Well, I think that does it for this week. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. Let us know what you think. Like, is this something that you would get involved in? Like, let us know. It'd be great to get the feedback. Like, comment, subscribe if you found it helpful. And until next week, Wagmi.